Dan does a great job as our local commissioner, wasn't able to be here today. So that concludes the formal remarks. Again, thank you to the members of the media who are here today. Everybody that's here will be available for questions.
Yeah, no, I'd love to come out. And
Yeah, will that be released this year?
It will be, yeah. The plan, we're hoping to get it in August.
You actually need me to go?
I can call you now about this.
Oh, this way, too. What's the timing? Rips and tears in the life jacket. The straps aren't tightened fast enough to the person. Maybe they're missing a clip on the side.
thank God I wear right, yeah. And yeah, and I meant to mention.
You're not taking off, are you? All right, because I'm going to be pulling around. You're here, about to pop off.
Unfortunately, in Pennsylvania and across the country, we see annually about 80% of the boating fatalities are a result of people not wearing their life jackets. And that exact same thing happened in Pennsylvania last year. We had 10 boating fatalities, and 8 of them were not wearing their life jackets. So please wear your life jacket.
WCOs will be out checking for impairment. Officers throughout the state, like myself, were trained in detection of alcohol and drugs, and if we feel that you are under either of those, we will put you through the various tests to see if you are safe to operate.
Send a text to a friend or a family member who isn't going boating with you that day and share that basic information with them. And if your plans change, update the plan during your boating trip. Also, carry a dry bag, and this is to keep your cell phone and other valuables dry while you're boating, so you can keep those lines of communication open in case of an emergency.
In addition to checking your forecast before you head out on the lake, you want to check your forecast periodically while you're out on the lake. In addition to checking the forecast, you want to keep an eye on the radar, and you want to keep an eye to the sky. If it looks dark, chances are, a storm is coming. So Lake Erie is a very dangerous body of water, or it can be. We can go from being flat calm to having 8 to 10 foot waves in about an hour. So if you're real far out, you want to get back in close to shore, before a squall or a storm hits.
Wait for that. Okay. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Tim Schaefer. I'm the Executive Director of the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission, and welcome to Lampe Marina and our celebration of National Safe Boating Week here in Erie. It's a really critical time of year as people start to think about their boating adventures for the summer. It might not feel like it today, although it sure did the last 2 days when the weather was so nice. People will be coming to the waters of Pennsylvania starting this weekend. Again, it may not feel like it today because of the weather, but Memorial Day is typically the unofficial start to boating season here in the Commonwealth. I'd like to recognize some familiar faces that we have with us here today. First, Tony Pianta is the harbor master for Lampe Marina and for the Erie Port Authority. Tim Bruno, the chair of the Great Lakes Commission, will be making some remarks. Tim is also with DEP. Teresa Guerin is the owner of Lakeshore Towing, and she's also a member of our boating advisory board. We're happy that she assumed that volunteer role for us. And we have two of our waterways conservation officers, Logan Schuler, who's up there under the pavilion, and Matt Visosky, who's definitely a familiar face to everybody who fishes in boats in Erie. So everybody who's part of this presentation today is going to be giving a different safe boating message. We have sort of a script that we're going to follow. And the reason we're doing it this week, again, National Safe Boating Week, is that National Safe Boating Week started May 16th and runs through May 22nd. And we do events throughout the Commonwealth to try to drive home the safe boating message before the summer season starts. So I'll get us kicked off with part of the checklist here with the number one thing on my list that I always talk about is wear your life jacket. There's nothing else that you can do that's more important than to stay safe on the water than to wear your life jacket. Know that law requires you to have life jackets on board for everybody on your boat that are operable and fit. Matt and Logan, when they're checking your boat, they won't just check to see that you got the right number. They'll make sure to see that they fit everybody that's on board, that the buckles work, that everything on the life jacket is operable. They need to be U.S. Coast Guard approved, and those Coast Guard insignias will be on the life jacket. And again, make sure that they fit everybody on board. If you have a kid on your boat, a good thing to do is to make sure it's snug, as we call it, the touchdown test, where have the kid go like this with their arms for a touchdown. If you can pull the life jacket up by the lapels and it doesn't come over the head, that means that it fits good and snug. Kids under 12 have to wear their life jackets at all times on all canoes, kayaks, paddleboards, and boats under 16 feet. They have to wear them at all times. And then regardless of age, we recommend that you wear it at all times when you're boating. Unfortunately, in Pennsylvania and across the country, we see annually about 80% of the boating fatalities are a result of people not wearing their life jackets. And that exact same thing happened in Pennsylvania last year. We had 10 boating fatalities, and 8 of them were not wearing their life jacket. So please wear your life jacket. Next, I'd like to hand it off to Officer Matt Visosky to talk about another important reminder as we go through our checklist. Matt.
Thank you, Director Schaefer. Good morning. More or less, please never boat under the influence of alcohol or drugs. It's just similar to an automobile. It's impaired driving is impaired driving, whether it's a vehicle or a motorboat or any boat. There again, alcohol is very similar for vehicles and for boats. It's 0.08 blood alcohol concentration, so we have the legal limits. But there again, we suggest you don't drink at all while you're operating any type of boat. WCOs will be out checking for impairment. Officers throughout the state, like myself, we're trained in detection of alcohol and drugs, and if we feel that you are under either of those, we will put you through the various tests to see if you are safe to operate. Very similar to an automobile as well. When you're operating a watercraft, you have the legal ramifications. We have the fines. You lose your operating privileges of your motorboat, things like that. So those all can play into it as well. And if you are out and do want to consume, make sure you have a designated driver for the boat that is actually licensed to operate that boat as well. It's required to have a safe boating card. Make sure they know how to operate that boat and have a safe boating card. All right, back to Director Schaefer.
Thanks, Matt. And it really is important to remember that the rules for the road are the same as the rules for water when it comes to alcohol consumption. Please don't drink and boat. Next, I'll turn it over to Tim Bruno from DEP, who's also currently the chair of the Great Lakes Commission.
All right, thank you, Tim. And I'd just like to recognize Executive Director Schaefer, who's also a Pennsylvania Commissioner to the Great Lakes Commission. I also serve as a Commissioner and as Chair of the Interstate Compact Agency that represents 8 states and 2 provinces. And with the holiday weekend coming up, we love to see everyone taking advantage of the recreational opportunities here at our ports, on Lake Erie, and all throughout the Great Lakes. The importance of recreation along our lake shores is the economic impact it has for our communities is something that I'd like to talk about briefly here today. But first, let me share the next item on the safe boating checklist, which is to have a float plan. What that means is let someone know when you will be going boating, when and where, and when you'll expect to return. It's really as simple as that. Send a text to a friend or a family member who isn't going boating with you that day and share that basic information with them. And if your plans change, update the plan during your boating trip. Also, carry a dry bag, and this is to keep your cell phone and other valuables dry while you're boating, so you can keep those lines of communication open in case of an emergency. Now, also a message for those who boat in and around the Great Lakes. These lakes are central to the way our life here in Erie County and other communities across the Great Lakes functions. They are a source of drinking water, commerce, recreation, tourism, and an identity for millions of people across the United States and Canada. And for countless families, there's simply nothing that compares to spending time on the water, whether fishing on Lake Erie or kayaking along the shores of Lake Superior or any of the lakes, and enjoying a weekend at the marina with the family and friends. Today, we recognize that National Safe Boating Week reminds us that enjoying these waters also comes with a responsibility. Every year, recreational boating contributes billions of dollars to the Great Lakes economy and supports thousands of jobs across marinas, tourism, businesses, and waterfront communities in 7 states and 2 provinces. Recreational fishing alone annually contributes hundreds of millions of dollars in economic value throughout the basin, and boating remains one of the defining recreational activities of the Great Lakes region. But protecting the future of boating on the Great Lakes means more than wearing a life jacket or practicing safe navigation and having a float plan, as I mentioned before. It also means protecting the waters themselves. Aquatic invasive species remain one of the greatest long-term threats to the ecological and economic health of the Great Lakes. Species such as zebra and quagga mussels, Eurasian water milfoil, which is a weed, non-native carp species, and other invasive organisms can cause numerous damages. They disrupt our fisheries and our ecosystems. They can clog water infrastructure and create significant costs for communities and businesses. And far too often, these species spread not intentionally, but accidentally, hitchhiking from one water body to another on boats, trailers, anchors, bilges, live wells, and recreational equipment. This is why the Great Lakes Commission and many of our partners, such as the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission, continue to promote one of the simplest and most effective prevention messages available. Clean, drain, dry your boats and your gear. Before leaving a launch or marina, boaters should clean off visible plants, mud, and debris from the boats and trailers. Drain your water from your bilges, ballast tanks, live wells, and motors, and allow your equipment to dry thoroughly before entering another water body. These simple, small actions take only a few minutes, but collectively they make a tremendous difference. National Safe Boating Week is ultimately about stewardship. It's about recognizing that safety on the water and protection of the water go hand in hand. And so thank you and have a safe boating season, and I'll turn this back over to Tim Schaefer.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks for those important reminders, both about public safety and about stewardship. Next, I'll turn it to Teresa Guerin. Teresa, and one of Teresa's boats is here from Lakeshore Towing. If anybody from the media or anybody else would like to take a look at that boat, happy to have you go down and see that, as well as take a ride on one of our law enforcement boats that we have tied up down there. Teresa is the owner of Lakeshore Towing and also a member of our agency's Boating Advisory Board.
Thank you, Mr. Schaefer. One of the most important things that anyone can do to stay safe on Lake Erie is to check the weather. So that means checking your weather forecast before you head on the lake. You want to check multiple forecasts, And when you're looking at the forecast, you're not looking to see whether it's sunny and warm. You're looking to see what the wind direction is and what the wind speed is. Your wind speed and wind direction is directly related to your wave height. Your wave height is extremely important when boating on Lake Erie. In addition to checking your forecast before you head out on the lake, you want to check your forecast periodically while you're out on the lake. In addition to checking the forecast, you want to keep an eye on the radar and you want to keep an eye to the sky. If it looks dark, chances are, a storm is coming. So Lake Erie is a very dangerous body of water, or it can be. We can go from being flat calm to having 8 to 10 foot waves in about an hour. So if you're real far out, you want to get back in close to shore, before a squall or a storm hits. You can look at the Regional Science Consortium's buoy to get, it's updated every 20 minutes in real time, and you can get information such as wave height, wind direction, water temperature, and that's at PALakeErieBuoy.com. Like I said, we recommend checking your forecast multiple times every time you're out on the lake. If you have a west wind, you are going to have larger waves. If you have a south wind, you'll be protected if you're near shore unless you go out real far. So just get to know what the waves will do depending on your wind direction. One of the other most important things that we have seen is please do not anchor over the stern. Always anchor over the bow. We have seen many incidents where people have anchored over the stern and then they get a couple waves over the stern and then they capsize. Also, we've seen several incidents where somebody's catching a real big fish. Everybody on the boat runs over to see the fish and the boat capsizes. So whatever you do, keep your weight distributed, especially on your small boats. We really want everybody to stay safe out on Lake Erie. It's the most beautiful place to be. Lots of fish to catch out there, lots of fun to be had, but we just really would like everyone to remain safe. Thank you.
Thanks, Teresa. And as someone who's not from Erie, but who loves to come from Erie, there is no other place like Erie in Pennsylvania, that's for sure. One person I should have also identified up front was Jerry Skripczak, our good friend from the Sons of Lake Erie. There is no group like the Sons of Lake Erie, Jerry, anywhere in Pennsylvania. I've told you that before, but it's true. Nobody does it better than the Sons when it comes to stewardship here of the Great Lakes. Also happy that State Representative Pat Harkins is here with us today. Pat's a great champion for us in the legislature. The whole Erie delegation is right behind everything that we do. And then Mike Frieder from the governor's office, also happy that they joined us here today. So, but the messages that you've gotten today from all of our friends here behind us, they've probably forgotten more about safe boating than I'll ever even know. But one thing that, common theme that runs through it obviously is safety. One thing they didn't talk about was taking a safe boating course. So if you're going to operate a boat over 25 horsepower in Pennsylvania and you're born after 1982, you have to take that sort of like a driver's test to operate that boat. But even if you're above that age threshold, please consider taking it to get some additional safety tips. Where you can find out where those basic boating courses are offered by going to our website, which is fishandboat.com. When you go to fishandboat.com, you can also find out information about boating access areas. You can get your fishing license right there. We've made it easier than ever. In fact, Pat in the legislature a couple years ago made it so you could just display that license on your phone. Everything that we do as an agency is supported with and on behalf of anglers and boaters. We put your fishing license and boat registration dollars to work for you, but you can do all that right on our website. So before we wrap up here, I do want to hand back over to Tony to give you a little information more about some of the amenities that you'll find here at Lampe.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Tony Pianta. I'm the Harbor Master for the Erie Port Authority. Thank you for being here to support safe boating. As we head into boating season, I want to take a moment to talk about something simple that makes a huge difference at our launch ramps: courtesy and preparation. Boat ramps can get busy, especially on weekends and holidays. A little patience and consideration go a long way toward keeping things safe, efficient, and enjoyable for everyone. One of the biggest things boaters can do is use the staging area before using the ramps. Have your gear ready, straps removed, safety equipment checked, and passengers prepared before approaching the ramp. The ramp itself should be used for launching, not for getting organized. It's also important to yield to incoming boats. If someone is coming off the water, give them the room and avoid blocking access. And remember, take your time, but don't hold up the ramp longer than needed. Keep in mind there's a mix of experienced and first-time boaters at the launch, so a little patience and courtesy can go a long way. Everyone at the ramp is there for the same reason, to enjoy a safe day on the water. Safe boating starts before your boat even leaves the trailer. Courtesy, patience, preparation help make the experience better for everybody. Thank you, and have a safe boating season. Back to you, Mr. Schaefer.
Thanks, Tony. And thanks to all of our speakers today for the safe boating tips. Also want to recognize Rocco Ally. Rocco is from Armstrong County. He's also a member of our boating advisory board. He's the current chair. Dan Pastore is our local commissioner from Fish USA. Everybody knows Dan in Erie. Dan does a great job as our local commissioner. Wasn't able to be here today. So that concludes the formal remarks. Again, thank you to the members of the media who are here today. Everybody that's here will be available for questions. And if anybody would like to go down and get on one of our boats, we do have life jackets that are available. So we could put you on the boat. You don't need to go out into the lake, even just go around the marina a little bit and get some interviews on the water. Happy to do that. So thanks everybody for coming.